Hello, everyone. In this lesson, we will learn to create a Modbus server using Siemens S7-1200. With an example program, we will describe how to use a Modbus TCP server in a Siemens PLC, allowing external Modbus clients to access the holding registers and process image input and output within the PLC. Modbus pole will play the role of the Modbus client, while the PLC will act as the Modbus server. Create a Siemens TIA portal project named Modbus TCP server, and specify the PLC's IP address in the Ethernet settings to be in the same subnet as the PC's local area network. Create a function named FC Modbus TCP server, and a data block named Modbus ComDB, as shown in the figure. Call the FC Modbus TCP server function in the main program, as illustrated. In the FC Modbus TCP server, invoke the MB server instruction. TIA portal will automatically create two system blocks in the system block section. One of them is the Modbus ComDB data block, as shown in the figure. The IP protocol configuration is used to describe all the address parameters required when establishing Modbus TCP. The interface ID is the hardware identifier of the local interface. Check the hardware identifier of the Profinet interface of the PLC device. The ID parameter will uniquely identify each instance of the connection instruction MB server in the CPU. The value range is from 1 to 4095. The connection type parameter is used to specify the connection type. Since we are using a TCP connection, we can enter the decimal number 11 or the hexadecimal number 0B. The active established parameter is used to specify the ID corresponding to the way the connection is established. For Modbus TCP server communication, we just wait for the client's request, so it is a passive connection. Therefore, we should select false. The remote address parameter can be used to specify a particular client with a specific IP address to access. If the MB server instruction is to accept connection requests from any client, we should use 0.0.0.0 as the IP address. The remote port is used to specify the port number of the remote connection client. The value range is from 1 to 49151. If the MB server instruction is to accept connection requests from any port of the remote client, we should use 0 as the port number. The local port is used to specify the port number used for local Modbus TCP communication. The value range is from 1 to 49151. The Modbus communication protocol defaults to port 502. If we change this port, the client should match the change when accessing. Use Modbus pole. Create a Modbus TCP client to access the PLC's Modbus TCP server and create 3 windows for reading and writing holding registers, reading discrete inputs, and reading and writing coils, respectively. We can use rising edge and increment instructions to count the number of times that Modbus communication NDR, DR, and ERR become high level, and record them in NDR-CNT, DR-CNT, and ERR-CNT, respectively, as shown after the monitoring is activated. Although MB server does not specify the process image area, inputs and outputs, the client can still access the status of the inputs and read and write the status of the coils. After modifying the holding registers in the monitoring table to 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99 AA, in hexadecimal, the data in Modbus pole is synchronized and modified. After modifying the data at address 0 of the holding register to 1111 in hexadecimal, the data value in the monitoring table is synchronized and modified, and the status of the output coils in Modbus pole will be updated synchronously. When the coil Q0.1 is modified to a high level, it will be updated synchronously in the Siemens monitoring. 2 data write operations were performed on the server, so NDR-CNT will become 2, that is, 2 data writes were received from the client. Modbus pole has a default scan frequency of 1 second. That is, it reads data once every second. DRCNT records that the client has requested 4,855 data read requests. In this lesson, we learned to program a Modbus TCP server based on Siemens S7-1200, explained the functions of each parameter of the MD server function, and used Modbus POL as a client to access the holding registers and I/O data in the PLC. That's all for this lesson. See you next time.